Good morning. This is chapter 8 today, and it's called Come Down from That Mountain. And the first part says, Brother Eamon and Brother John are talking over the future of the Franciscan order. Eamon believes that compromise will lead to larger influence. John, that if this way were followed, the sons of Francis would, as time passed, become a new monastic order, conform to set tradition, living on easy terms with the unchallenged way of the world. With such orders, the world has no quarrel. But in the Gospel of Francis, and John believed in the Gospel of Christ, there was a different element, an element so disturbing that the world would forever reject it but never forget it, that the church would waver forever between patronage and persecution. Yours is the present, Father, for the world will only ridicule us or crucify. Nor have we the visible power for good that you will have. But I think the future is ours, and Lady Poverty shall welcome us all to her mountain. To Eamon's question about the future of the world, John stammered, wilting a little. I think the church and the world will be one. Eamon's patience was exhausted. He spoke with a sharp authority. Come down from that mountain. And, as to Father Philip when he first became a novice, John repeated, I have heard another voice. From Vida D. Scudder, Brother John. There are some who would have Christ cheap. They would have him without the cross, but the price will not come down. That's from Samuel Rutherford. All right. And yet, all through this time of death and dearth and difficulty, the conviction that we were in the way and that our Lord was leading us became more and more certain, and nothing could shake it. I cannot help connecting this with something that happened on the day the last of the first 3 babies died. When she left us, and I gathered her little things together and folded them up to put them away, it seemed as though I was folding up all my hopes. But standing there in the courtyard of that first nursery, in the twilight, with the small white things in my hands, I stopped, arrested by the near sense of that presence that is never far. And the presence shone in the dimness, and there were words I could understand. And I knew that we were to keep that date month by month thereafter as a day of prayer for all the imperiled children of India, wherever they be. The day was January 6, 1905. We forgot at the moment that the 6th of the month was the date of the deliverance of our first little girl, Pearl Eyes. We may forget dates. God does not. That date has been observed by us forever since, and by all who stand with us in the battle for the children. When Satan heard, or read, or in some other way became familiar with the 91st Psalm, did the 4th verse baffle him? He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings thou shalt trust. With his feathers he shall create a fence for thee, is Kay's rendering of that music. All that had been so strong to discourage and even to trample out of existence that little faint beginning was turned to the contrary. Often, since the days of Esther, that word has found similar delightful illustration. So covered and so fenced, what could his malice accomplish against us? Nothing at all. We soon learn why fasting is so often associated with prayer. Quote, food may hinder the spirit in its battle with the power of darkness. Unquote. Perhaps because it is sometimes so interrupting. And we found a way to plan so that if there were the desire, it might be followed without fuss or comment. But we never made any rules for ourselves, nor did we follow the rules of others. We found our Lord's enough. And often then and since, the word for a day that had meant to spend apart has been, is this not the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke. Where there are little children and the sick and sorrowful to help, this is often the word. That's like when I fast for my lunches. You want to step aside and do something spiritual, but there's no time in the day or no way to break free from the duties. So he says, doing those things for his sake is also a fast. Okay, one of the earliest lessons we learned together was that before asking for anything, we should find out if we're according to the mind of the Lord. The kind of prayer that is a pouring out of the heart is different. This, that was definite petition, intercession, needed preparation of a special kind. It needed time. Time to listen, to understand, to wait, as the word is so often in the Psalms. And this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he heareth us. And if we know that he hear us whatsoever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we desired of him. The more we pondered over all that is said about prayer in the only book in the world that can speak with authority about it, the more we found to make us ask to be filled with the knowledge of his will before offering petitions for a desired good. When we were in doubt about his will, as we often were and are, aren't we all, and had not liberty to ask for a clear sign, there was the prayer of prayers ready framed for us. Thy will be done, whatever that will may be. But when we are meant to know our Lord's wishes, we must be shown what they are before we can lay our prayer aside. And often our first prayer was for spiritual understanding and direction in prayer. Quote, that which I know not, teach me. Who, blessed Lord, teacheth like thee? Lead my desires that they may be according to thy will. Kindle my thoughts that they may glow, and lift them up where they are low, and freshen them that they may flow according to thy will. This is not